Grand Slam track is officially here, and I have to admit it's actually pretty weird to even say that sentence out loud, because we've been hearing about this league for quite some time now, and now that the first day of competition is officially over, I figured it's a pretty good time to actually recap what just went down. But the only way I know how to do that is you kind of got to look at it from two different perspectives. One is the actual competition on the track, because Grand Slam track promised us that we were going to get very competitive races for some of the top athletes in the sport. But the other side of this is the experience that is Grand Slam track, because this is brand new for everybody. The only way I can explain this, between me and other people in the track and field community, we're talking about some athletes, as well as some people who create content and so on and so forth. We wanted to see what was going to happen. When I say wanted to see, I mean like, people were kind of on the edge of their seat because we wanted to see what would happen. But we had no idea what really to expect. It had never gone down before. We've never seen a league like this. As much as you think the Diamond League is something like this, it is not. At least not the way it's set up. So before I go on to talk about just how badly Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone dominated the women's 400 hurdles, obviously, and a whole bunch of other things, I'm going to focus on the experience first. When I turned on Grand Slam track and like, hey, I have a Peacock subscription, so I wanted to see like the feed of what we were gonna get. And the broadcast team, as far as I'm concerned, is top notch. Everything from the presentation, the way the cameras actually followed around the action, the announcers themselves, they had different broadcast teams that they used depending on what type of events they were actually, displaying on the track. Like all of that, hey, that was top tier. And I mean, just being real, I'm not really trying to talk negatively about anything else, but this is as good as I think we're ever going to get in terms of covering the sport and making it entertaining for the people watching at home. Just consider that normally when you watch a track race, you really only see like one or two athletes profiled. Everybody else might as well just be wallpaper. They're just out there to be filling up the other lanes. And yes, there were events where we kind of knew who we expected to win. But a lot of events did not go according to plan. I'm just being real on day one. And beyond that, they gave everybody attention. Like the way they rolled out the fields, like it felt equal opportunity whether you were a racer or a challenger. Like if you put up numbers, like Chris Bailey, and I'm getting ahead of myself in the 400, but he definitely put up numbers. You had a chance to prove yourself on that stage. What Grand Slam track is right now, at least in my eyes, is they have now created a league that more or less functions as a sparring ring for the top athletes in the sport of track. That's what it is. Because when they hold a slam, you do have to be pretty good. For that matter, one of the best in the world to get a lane. And then you're going to be asked to compete. Not just once, but twice. So we really get to see, like, forget about the clock for a moment, because I know that that's a part of the discussion that people could have. We're in the month of April. Some people are opening their seasons. Like, in the 100, they were running into a minus headwind. So even though Kenny Bednarek got the victory in a very entertaining race with Oblique Seville, again, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's just acknowledge that if you forget about the clock and actually care about who wins, they gave you top athletes going at it. But I'm also going to address something that most people who watched it live did pick up on. That the stadium in Kingston, Jamaica was not fully packed out, at least not for day one. So to put it in perspective, that is a 30,000 seat stadium. Selling out 30,000 seats for any sport is incredibly hard to do. Most NBA arenas don't even have 30,000 seats. Most of them are like 20,000 or less. Hey, those are just the actual numbers. So the stadium itself was never going to have 30,000 people in it. I don't know what the official ticket sales were, but it certainly filled up, and you could see that the energy of the meet continued to climb as it continued to go. But I think we also need to put this in perspective. Grand Slam track is doing a 3-day competition, but the days themselves, they only last for 3 hours maximum. We are used to track meets that just go on and on and on and on. And that is not what this is. And as far as like watching a sport presentation, I'm glad that that's not what we're doing, because I like track, but I don't like it that much. I don't know if anybody does, but you can let me know in the comments. But if you're new here, I want to say thank you for even making it this far into the video. And I'm Coach Rob, the founder of SCArecruiting.com, where I rank the best track and field recruits across the entire nation. And if anything that I say actually connects with you, it is always greatly appreciated if you would please like and subscribe. But if I don't, just let me know in the comment section, because I try to read them all. So here we go. Let's break down the actual action, because Gabby Thomas kicked it off doing what we all knew that she was probably going to do anyway. She won the 200-meter dash in a race that really wasn't all that close, because it was a 400-200 group, but like, to be honest, we know she was the only true 200 runner in there aside from Dina Asher-Smith, which is why things got interesting, because Mouter Lady Paulino got second in the 200. That means she had to edge out Dina Asher-Smith in order to pull it off. So now we know why she is not only the Olympic gold medalist in the 400, but if she wanted to run the 200, she could probably beat a whole lot of people who were in that final. Just saying. Remember, if she wanted to focus on the 200, and I kind of already told you about this, but I'm gonna go there now anyway. Christopher Bailey won the 400 in a new world leading time, which is what people want to see. We want to see fast times. I'm just gonna admit it. Hey, it is what it is. But remember, he is the world indoor champion that just went down a few weeks ago. And he is a challenger, not a racer. He wasn't even really supposed to be here like that. So him pulling that off, I mean, we don't know what's going to happen in the 200 as far as how the slams go down, but he is proving that if you step in the ring and you can throw hands, you can take some people out. To be fair, the 400 hurdles on both the men's and the women's sides were pretty predictable, because Alison Dos Santos was the fastest man in that field. It really wasn't all that close when you looked at the personal best, and beyond that, he validated it once the gun went off. And he has the medals to back it up. But when we get to the women's 400 hurdles, you already knew what was going to happen there. It was Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone, who was basically running the time trial with everybody else behind her. And the fact that she's able to still run 52 point in the 400 hurdles, really kicking off her season. There are women who would be happy to give you that in a Olympic or World Championship final, because they could still run for medals with that time. But for her, it's just like, hey, light work. So when she actually does hit the track for the 400, I'm going to be checking the clock very closely, because I want to see what she puts down compared to what Paulino's going to put down. Just saying. And there were more upsets on the track, because Nikki Hills got the victory in the 800, when she's not really supposed to be an 800 runner, which is kind of the point of having everybody run both of these races, to show what you can actually pull off. Once again, step in the ring and let's see who can throw hands. And the long distance races were more tactical than anything else. But the way Grand Slam puts this together, you always have a reason to keep on running, because even when the lead pack gets away from you, there's still a big difference between 4th place and 5th place. Not just on the points, but with how that might actually work out for your bank account. And I'm sure those races, just like all the other ones, are going to get even faster as the slams continue to go on. But the grand finale of the day was of course the men's 100-meter dash, where running into a minus headwind, Bednarek got the victory. But it was only by 100th of a second, because you might even think that Oblique Seville thought he had the victory when he came to the line. And hey, when he looked to the left, Bednarek was still ahead of him, because he got off the block early and nobody could really reel him in. The biggest shocker out of all of it does have to be that Fred Curley really didn't run well in that heat. Hey, I don't have all the answers, but I do know that he even told us in an interview later on after the meet that for where we are in the season, and we really have to keep this in mind, the athletes, many of them anyway, are still training more or less on the exact same plan that they would have in a non-Grand Slam track world. In other words, they may not be peaked for these races, not even a little bit. They're just getting in the ring and again, throwing hands. So Fred Curley's going to be ready for the biggest races on the calendar, at least in the old world. But that brings me to the real conversation, because after all of this, we are watching professional track, on screen, where top athletes go out and compete. And I know that people are still trying to figure out how we feel about it. I mean, hey, we're still on day one of a 3-day slam event, and we don't know how the rest of these slams are going to go. But we do have to keep something in mind. Pro sports only function when pros go out there and actually be professionals. In other words, you're going to have to get out there and compete. Track is a unique sport. But, hey, let's just be real about this. When people compare track and the state of it, and they want to see the sport thrive and they want to see things grow, Grand Slam is taking something and putting it on the board, funding it, and hey, tinkering it, working with it. I'm sure that it's going to continue to evolve beyond what it is right now. But all the leagues that are functional, again, thinking from an American context, they had to grow from somewhere. People act as if basketball or even football are way more popular than they actually are. To clarify, the NBA in the 1940s was barely a thing. Like, somebody launched a league with a bunch of guys who weren't getting paid much of anything. They had day jobs. And they just went out there and started hooping and competing. That eventually evolved where, like, by the 1980s, they were playing the NBA Finals on tape delay. It wasn't even on live yet. But by the time you get to the early 2000s, like the post-Michael Jordan era, you are now watching something that is prime time TV. It's a billion-dollar, like multi-billion-dollar league that's really thriving. And then that brings it to where we are now. It took vision and it took time. People want to see things microwaved overnight. It really doesn't happen like that. If you go back to the 1940s, before the NBA is launched, what I'm really trying to say is, track and like sports like basketball, football, whatever, like they're all more or less in the same place. Somebody had to build something and then grow it. And it always took time. We know it's not just basketball that people want to watch, because there's a whole bunch of leagues that we have in America that play basketball that nobody's checking for. We got the ABA, we've got the NBL, the PBA, or the PBL. Like, there's so many leagues that I could just mention right now. You can Google it if you really want to. Ain't nobody checking for them. The only thing we know is the NBA and maybe the G League, because it feeds to the NBA. That's it. So it ain't just basketball, it's the league. You have to put together a structure that works. And Grand Slam Track is on the way to doing that. Even if we've only witnessed one day of competition up until this point. Because as far as I'm concerned, I have already seen enough to make that assessment. I just hope that the track community can be patient enough to watch them pull it off. In the sport of track and field, confidence is everything. Because when you win, that is just the moment when everybody else finds out what you already knew to be true. That fast is a lifestyle. Get your fast is a lifestyle track and field gear at scarecruiting.com/shop or use the link in the description below. It's a huge support to me and this channel, so I can continue to make you more content like this. And remember, it is always greatly appreciated if you would please like and subscribe.